what's going on?
Brad, what's your favorite type of cheese? That's, I tried. I asked everybody, and they want to know what Brad Keselowski's favorite go-to is for cheese. Do you want to sit down? Or
Yeah,
you want to stand?
I actually just ate some cheese.
Okay.
I had cheddar cheese. I think that's the boring cheese to like.
Cheddar cheese.
Yes.
Is there one that if there's a charcuterie board, you will never go for?
Ooh. I think most people don't really eat Gouda cheese.
Gouda.
Yeah. Boo.
You're a Michigan fan.
I've already got booed. It's a record over cheese.
I believe this is one of the first times I've seen you in 2024. How are you, first of all?
Good. Glad to be here and enjoying the weather so far. Hoping that it maybe stays this way for the next 48 hours, but we'll see. No, my car's really fast. We got a great shot of running Sunday, and that makes me happy, or winning Sunday, or Monday, or whatever day we race. And I'm really thrilled about that.
Well, so in the duel, actually, you had 4, I believe, of the fastest laps.
Really?
Are you aware of that?
I was not aware of that. Tell me more, Daryl.
So you had 4 of the fastest lap times, which is great. And obviously, they didn't tell you that, but you did. So when you are doing a lap and you come back in, say, from practice or qualifying, what does feedback sound like to your team? What kind of things do you say to explain to them what the car feels like?
Well, I think the big thing here at Daytona and Talladega is you want to be able to push another car and be pushed and not feel like you're going to wreck. And that's easier said than done. And generally, especially the duels, the cars that qualify fast, the way they're set up, they can't do that.
Right.
And you'll see some people will carry that over to the race as well, where they can't get their car to be fast and be able to push or be pushed. And so we work really hard on being able to do that.
I got you. So has there been a time that you've done qualifying and come in and had 0 feedback and said, do not touch the car?
Yeah, well, that was actually, we qualified like 26th, I think, on Wednesday. But then we ran some fast laps in the race. I didn't know they were the fastest laps. And you're like, hey, just leave this thing alone. Don't worry about the qualifying, worry about out races.
I got you, that makes sense. If you're just joining us right now, I'm joined by Brad Keselowski on the stage. As you can see, you got a nice view of the fan plaza here. This has really changed a lot, probably from the first time that you came to Daytona. Has it been fun as an ambassador and an owner and as a driver to see how much the sport is continuing to grow?
Oh yeah, I love watching old races. And I was watching a race here from, what was it, like 1992, the other day, or 93. And they did one of those blimp shots over the top of the track. And you look down and you're like, I don't even recognize this place. Because I know what it looks like now, but it looks nothing like it did in 1993. And I'm gonna tell you, it's a lot nicer today than it was in 1993. But I think it just keeps getting better. The food's gotten a lot better. I can smell it. And the experience has gotten a lot better. And you look at the grandstands, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. And in some ways, the racing's gotten better too. The race I was watching in 1993, there was only 4 cars that could win the race, and they had drove away from everybody else.
And sometimes they won by 12, 13 laps.
Yeah. And now, come Sunday, there's going to be, especially when they drop that green, there's going to legitimately be about 25, 30 cars that can win this race. And that just shows you how competitive the field is. So the sport, it changes, it grows, and it'll change all different kinds of directions, some better, some things worse. But I think for the most part, it's been for the better.
I like that. There was a gentleman here in the red shirt. He said, do you like being an owner-operator or a driver better, or is the blend exactly what you've always wanted?
Well, I mean, the driver part can be a lot more fun. When you're a driver, I would say it like this, like, you drive the car. If it goes great, you get the trophy and the money and all that stuff, like, yeah. And if it goes bad, you get up and you walk away.
Right.
Yeah, sorry. And there's this age-old saying in motorsports, at least as a driver, I win, we wrecked, you guys fix it. Which means the crew, right? And that's how it works as a driver.
Yeah.
Which is great when you're winning. When you're not winning, it's really frustrating because you're like, man, I needed a faster car, or I needed a better pit stop. And that's really what enticed me to be a part of the ownership. Is I just wanted to know that on any given day, that if it went wrong, like I could look in the mirror and blame myself. I didn't want to have to look at other people and say I couldn't do anything about that. I wanted to look right at myself and say I was the problem. So it's like the ultimate accountability. The ultimate accountability. The problem with it is just what I was saying earlier about being a driver. Like the beauty of it is when it didn't go right, you can just get up and walk away and be like, I'll see you guys next race.
Yeah.
Where when you're the owner, you're like, oh, I got to go have a hard conversation with somebody, or I got to go pay for that wrecked race car. So it's a different thing, but I like both. And what I like about the ownership side is I just feel like when things go wrong, that I can fix it. And I like fixing things.
A driver that likes control. That's crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, crazy.
Do you find it to be a distraction ever? Are there days where you kind of wish, obviously it's going good, but are there days you wish you could take the hat off and just be a driver?
No, distraction's not the right word. I would say I find it more fulfilling, Daryl. Like when you win, you feel like you did the work. It wasn't just, I had the best car and I just didn't screw it up. Like, you're like, no, I was a part of making the car fast and driving it, right? And I think that's really cool.
That makes sense. You have some other things going on as well. I was watching a clip of you. You were able to name every Daytona 500 champion back like 24 years in a row. I know drivers know the races there, and how do you keep track of stats like that? Is that something you've always been able to do? That was pretty impressive.
I love watching old races. The sport really cycles, meaning like the moves that work, 5-6 years ago, like they come back and then they work again, or some form of it works again. And if you really pay attention, like you can see kind of these cycles, and not everything works, and so I love watching old races and being like, I love watching races from the 90s and watching Dale Earnhardt on the plate tracks, because he was the only guy that knew what was going on. Like he knew how to side draft, he knew where to position his car so the guys behind him would push him. And he was just so far ahead of everyone at that time.
Yeah.
Nowadays, everybody knows those moves. Like this whole field knows every one of those moves, right? But I love seeing a guy like that, like how did he learn? How did he get that far ahead of everyone else? It's like, it's genius. And so I like watching old races, and you can almost see like, he learned that move in 1986 in Talladega, and he used it in 1994 to win the duel, like things like that. You're like,
so you're studying the moves as you're watching them.
Absolutely. And like trying to understand not even necessarily what they learned, but how they learned it. And I think that repeats itself over time.
You don't have to say any names, but are there drivers out there that when they're coming around you on a super speedway that you are like, oh no, I need to get away from this driver?
Yeah.
Because you know their style, or you know they're reckless?
I mean, everybody's got one of those guys. I mean, I'm probably that guy for a lot of people, just to be honest. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, it's not always a bad thing. Like, I'm the guy that when people are in front of me, they're like, oh. Like, if they see me, they're like, I'm in their mirror, they're like, he's going to push me. He's going to push me really hard. I better be ready.
Yeah.
And I have a choice to make. I can get out of the way, or I can hold on.
Well, you remind me of a guy that, kind of is always looking forward. I don't feel like you linger on drama. Last night there was some strange blocking. There was a couple questionable blocks.
Yep.
You weren't involved in that, but if you had been, is that something you address, or you just move on because you have more work?
It's not really anything to address. I mean, everybody's racing hard. That's their job. You get out there, you push the cars to the limits. That's what everybody expects. The teams, the fans, the sport. And that's what makes it fun to do. So I mean, I don't really feel the need for, belittling somebody, but because they're doing their job, right?
Yeah.
You hope that they make those moves when they make a bad move, you hope they make a bad move in a way that helps you and not hurts you.
So you stay out of it. You wouldn't go up after and say, "Why are you blocking during a duel?"
I don't need to be a part of the drama. I mean, I see people make bad moves, and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm just gonna beat you." Like that's what I want.
Why have you gotten more quiet on Twitter? There was a day not that long ago when you would fire off tweets left and right. You were sort of the unspoken mayor of the Twitterverse. I feel like you don't tweet as much. Is it you don't find Twitter as fun, or have you just taken a little sabbatical?
Well, now I've got 3 kids, and I 3 kids. Woo! There's no time for Twitter with 3 kids. My wife reminds me that my youngest kid, my youngest son, I should say, was born. He's 3 months old now. His name's Maze, and I was feeding him this morning, so I had the bottle, and I was holding him kind of like this. So I had bottle in one hand, baby in the other hand.
Like a football.
Yeah, like a football, but with the bottle. And I was feeding him, like I'm gonna pull my phone open and see what's going on, text messages or Twitter. And he started throwing up, spitting up. Like, that's not happening, I'll put that down. But, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
But between the race team and, the other business stuff I have and my kids, I don't spend as much time as I used to.
Fair.
On social media, but I'm happy about it. I'm not less happy. I'm more happy.
Do you still have the company that does the parts? The manufacturing?
Oh, yeah, the manufacturing.
So, because I was watching the Rocket the other night.
Yeah.
Do you get into that when you're down in Florida?
I'm so into rockets. Yeah, I'm way into rockets. I think it's super cool. Like, space and racing are 2 of my kind of like passions. Obviously, racing above space. And I just love, like, just the thought that somebody got on one of these things and flew it to the moon.
Yeah.
It's just the craziest thing in the world to me.
Well, so if we get to a point where they allow leisure travel to the moon, is that something you'd be interested in?
No.
You wouldn't go?
No, I'm not going. It's kind of like when you see how the sausage is made, you don't eat sausage anymore. Like when you see how the parts are made, you're like, every part is right on the edge. Like, I'm good.
So you kind of like keeping up with the science of it, but you're not going into the atmosphere.
No, I'm not going to the moon. Like, maybe my kids will or whatever, but I'd be cool with that. But me, I take enough chances out there with these other 35 guys. I don't need to take any more.
If you're just walking up right now, we have Brad Keselowski on stage right now. As we are watching a little bit of Xfinity series, guys over there, do you keep track of the other series as you have to race?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to do the Fox broadcast for the Xfinity race tomorrow, weather permitting, and I'm looking forward to it. So I'm watching with interest here because this series gets practice before qualifying where the Cup Series did not, and so they're taking full advantage of it. Jeremy Clements, the fastest guy out there, that's not who you would have thought, so that's pretty interesting. He runs good at these races.
Do you like the commentating? Is that something you think we'll see you doing full time?
I do, yeah. People have told me for a long time that I was full of it, so at least now I can make some money with, No, I'm just kidding. I don't get paid actually to do the Fox booth.
Well, speaking of money, you don't have to give me a number, but when you decide to become an owner, is that a big enough investment that there's big risk for you, or do you bring your partners so it's not a risk?
No, it's huge risk. So, I have 2 partners right now, Jack Roush and the Fenway Group. They own the Boston Red Sox and Pittsburgh Penguins and Liverpool soccer team. So I have those partners, which is really just like a hedge, right? Like if things went wrong, I'm not going to lose my house, I think that's a good idea.
That's good. That's good business advice.
Yeah. That's always people ask me a lot of times for business advice. That's probably my biggest business advice is whatever you do, just make sure if it goes wrong, you don't lose your house.
Is there a day where you think you will expand?
Yeah. I'd really like to see us be a 3-car team.
Okay.
That's kind of like the vision of where we want to get to. We're not there today. We do have a 3rd car here with David Reagan. And hopefully we'll get a 3rd car full time, but we're not there. We're working at it.
I like it. All right, so you're going to be in the booth, hopefully, this weekend.
Yep.
And then we'll see you race as well. Guys, let's hear it for Brad Keselowski.
Thanks for coming out, guys. I know it's a little loud. I hope you can hear me, but we're glad to have you. Thanks for being at Daytona. This is the best race weekend. People ask me all the time, Daryl, I can only go to one race all year. What race should I be? Daytona 500. You're here. Enjoy it, guys. We're glad to have you.
Let's hear it again for Brad Keselowski, guys.